For 3 seasons now, Harry Kane has been Bayern Munich's goal-scoring heartbeat. The numbers tell one story: 28 goals in 23 league matches, 8 goals in 8 Champions League games, and 43 goals across all competitions. But beneath these stunning statistics lies a growing tension few are discussing. Kane came to Bavaria in 2023 to win trophies and compete at the highest level. Yet, despite breaking records and silencing early critics, frustration is quietly building. The cracks are starting to show, and Kane's contentment masks something deeper. The story of an elite finisher searching for support. When Kane arrived in Bavaria in 2023 for around $100 million, skeptics questioned whether a 30-year-old could adapt to a new league and a different style of play. He proved them wrong spectacularly in the months that followed. His technical abilities, positioning, and football intelligence made him far more than just a traditional poacher in the box. He became essential to Bayern's build-up play, dropping deep to link defense to attack in ways that surprised even experienced observers who had watched him in England. But this evolution created an unexpected problem that nobody fully anticipated. Kane began spending more time outside the penalty area, orchestrating play and creating chances for teammates. It seemed like the perfect tactical adaptation for a player entering the final years of his career. Yet the quality of service he received from Bayern's attacking midfielders and wingers became increasingly inconsistent and unreliable. Kingsley Coman, Leroy Sane, and others were making poor decisions in crucial moments throughout matches. Situations arose repeatedly where Kane found himself unmarked in threatening positions, only to watch the ball sail over his head or be struck toward goal instead of being crossed to him. It became a pattern, one that frustrated Kane as much as it frustrated fans watching the matches. Michael Olise, Bayern's newer addition to the squad, became somewhat of an exception to this trend. His decision-making was notably sharper than his counterparts, and he actively looked for Kane in dangerous areas. But Olise alone couldn't solve a systemic issue that ran through the entire attacking unit. The supporting cast around Kane simply wasn't operating at a level befitting one of the world's greatest strikers who was delivering world-class performances. What made this particularly frustrating was that Kane himself was creating opportunities for others through his intelligent movement and link-up play and creative passing. When chances came his way, he delivered with clinical finishing. But the frequency of quality delivery decreased, and Kane's conversion rates suffered as a direct result of this imbalance. The growing pains of Vincent Kompany's system. Vincent Kompany arrived at Bayern with ambitious tactical ideas and proved flexibility. He praised Kane for his intelligence and willingness to embrace a multifaceted role beyond traditional striker positioning. Kompany believed Kane could be both a pure number 9 and a creative presence capable of playing multiple ways. Initially, this belief seemed validated by impressive output and Kane's tactical adaptation. However, executing this plan required consistent support that Bayern wasn't providing regularly. The system worked beautifully when everything clicked. A precise cross from Coman, a clinical header from Kane, and the ball would hit the back of the net. Against Holstein Kiel, this played out perfectly. But these moments felt increasingly rare. Wingers struggled with decision-making, overlapping runs weren't well timed, and the final ball often lacked precision. Bayern's attack, on paper one of Europe's most talented units, left Kane feeling like a craftsman without proper tools. Bayern had created a striker-dependent system where Kane handled everything from creating space to finishing chances. When support faltered, Kane couldn't solve it alone. Critics blamed him for dropping too deep or not staying in the box, but this missed the larger picture. Kane was doing exactly what Kompany asked. The real issue was that Bayern's wingers weren't providing the consistent service necessary for Kane to function optimally. Transfer rumors as an escape route. By February 2026, transfer speculation began circulating around Kane's future. Barcelona emerged as a potential suitor for the striker, with presidential candidate Xavier Villajorna publicly suggesting he would actively target Kane if elected to lead the club. The Barcelona connection represented a genuine option, a place where Kane could potentially restart his pursuit of trophies at another elite institution. While Kane's response was dismissive on the surface, claiming he hadn't heard anything about Barcelona's interest and reiterating his contentment in Munich. The timing of such rumors is rarely coincidental. The fact that speculation surfaced at this particular moment suggested that at least some in football circles believed Kane might be considering his options. Bayern's hierarchy moved quickly to lock down their star asset. Contract negotiations were supposedly initiated, with the club desperate to extend Kane's deal beyond 2027. Yet even Bayern's own sporting director Max Ebel made a surprising admission: actual discussions with Kane hadn't even begun. The gap between what the club announced publicly and what was happening behind closed doors suggested something was amiss in the negotiations. Bayern wasn't under immediate pressure since Kane's release clause had expired, but they knew they needed to act before frustration completely overtook satisfaction. What makes this situation intriguing is that Kane, despite everything, still publicly expressed happiness at Bayern. He spoke positively about the club's infrastructure, the opportunity to win trophies, and his family's comfort in Germany. But happiness and frustration aren't mutually exclusive emotions. A player can be content with his environment while growing frustrated with the performances and decision-making of those around him. Kane had achieved what he couldn't at Tottenham. He was winning titles and competing at the highest level, yet the path to those trophies felt harder than it should for someone of his exceptional caliber. The unfulfilled promise of immediate glory. When Kane was introduced at Bayern, the expectation was crystal clear: he would help deliver Champions League glory. 3 seasons in, that dream remained frustratingly elusive. The Bundesliga seemed within reach in the 2024-2025 season until a dramatic final-minute equalizer from Leipzig snatched it away. It was the kind of heartbreaking moment that had defined Kane's career at Tottenham, and seeing it repeat in Germany must have stung differently than the previous disappointments. His goal contribution statistics were extraordinary and historically significant, yet the trophy cabinet hadn't filled up as anticipated or hoped for. Kane had won the Bundesliga and the German Super Cup, which represented real achievements. But European success remained a question mark and a nagging uncertainty. With the Champions League still in play during the current campaign, Bayern faced high expectations from their supporters and stakeholders. Kane was performing at levels some said he'd never reached before, even during his prime years at Tottenham. He was sharper, more involved in the team's play, and more varied in his positioning. Yet the frustration seemed to be mounting precisely because the team around him wasn't rising to match his elevated standards. He was doing his part, doing it exceptionally well, but the collective effort wasn't translating into the European dominance that Bayern had promised. Looking forward in uncertainty, contract renewal talks sit in a strange and somewhat ambiguous limbo at the moment. Bayern's leaders like legendary defender Lothar Matthäus have publicly insisted Kane will stay and extend his contract with the club. The club has suggested they're not stressed about his future, that he feels extremely comfortable in Munich with his family. But these public statements sometimes mask deeper concerns and underlying tensions. Bayern has built their entire attacking project and tactical philosophy around Kane, making him the centerpiece of their ambitions. Losing him would force a complete and extensive rebuild of the squad. For Kane, the decision becomes increasingly complex as he enters the twilight of his career. At 32, time is precious and limited. He's at an age where legacy matters more than ever before, where winning becomes more important than any individual accolade. The goals keep coming. He's chasing Robert Lewandowski's single-season Bundesliga record of 41 goals. But records and statistics ring hollow without the trophies that drive every athlete's deepest motivations. Kane has proven he can score anywhere and in any league. What he hasn't proven is that he can deliver Bayern's primary objective with consistency. The frustration Kane is experiencing isn't about lacking ambition or commitment to the club. It's the frustration of an elite athlete discovering that individual brilliance can only carry a team so far. His teammates at Bayern are quality footballers, but the consistency and decision-making required to unlock Kane's full potential have been inconsistent. He came to Munich to finally achieve what eluded him in England, to lift the trophies that seemed destined for him. Instead, he's finding that even in Bavaria, with one of Europe's most powerful clubs behind him, football's unpredictability still finds a way to complicate things and create disappointment. As February transitions towards spring and Bayern pushes toward crucial matches that will define their season, Kane will continue to produce goals and assists at an elite level. The statistics will remain remarkable and historically significant. But underneath the numbers, the growing frustration remains, a quiet and persistent reminder that even the world's best players need more than just their own brilliance to achieve their greatest dreams.